Hey everyone, welcome back to the Glass of Milk Kitchen. I'm popping in with another Cooking 101 tip today, and today's tip is about one of my favorite ingredients to work with, and that is butter. I have butter on the brain right now because I have some serious butter in my freezer. I have 14 pounds of butter in my freezer right now, and that's because I'm making cupcakes for A Glass of Milk's youngest reader's wedding later in September. So I've been reading cupcake recipes left and right, and I don't know if you've ever noticed, but there are certain recipes that call for butter that's been softened and some that call for butter that's at room temperature. And there is a difference between the two. It's one that I do try to follow as often as I can. So a recipe that calls for softened butter, you'll know that your butter is softened. You want to take it out half an hour, 2 hours, several hours in advance of baking. There's no strict guideline on that. I find that when I bake in the middle of July, my butter does not take very long to soften. If I'm baking in December, it takes my butter a lot longer to soften. So you're going to have to play around with that and see what works in the area where you live and depending on what the temperature is. But a recipe that's calling for softened butter, you'll know your butter is softened if you leave it in the wrapper and press your finger down on the wrapper, and almost as if there's a thumbprint left in the butter. So it makes an indentation, but that's about all it gives. That's softened butter. If your recipe calls for butter that's at room temperature, then it quite literally means the entire stick of butter has come to room temperature. So if you were to press your fingers into it or if you picked it up, the butter would give and almost lose its shape completely. It gives a lot more than just softened butter. So even though there's a slight difference, like I said, it's one that I try to follow in baking because so many people say that baking is all in the little details. I hope that's helpful.